two different ways. But I'm super excited about our team call tonight. Welcome everybody, and welcome everybody if you're joining on Facebook. Thanks for joining us. I'm super excited tonight. It is August 5th, and we just closed out a great business month. So have a lot of really, really great promotions that happened. We have Joita, Jennifer, Lori, Jessica, Carrie all did the HLP in the month of July. And then Evie Ganger, she did Express Track to Sales Coordinator. So we're so proud of her. So congratulations, Evie. And tonight we have a very special call because my friend Kristyn Hanquist is joining us, and she's going to be sharing with us some really, really awesome information. She's super successful in her Juice Plus business, and I'm just so excited to learn from her. I just muted you, Kristyn. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you now, or you can unmute yourself. Sorry, I was trying to mute other people. Okay, so let me just share a little bit about Kristyn. She's a wife and a mom of 4 babies. She hit National Marketing Director 2 years ago, and then she hit 39 Club just a year later. And she was shocked to win an Elton Award in 2018 for 12 Club of the Year. I remember when you won that. I was cheering for you. And Kristyn has spent the last 5 years redefining success after having a successful corporate career, and she's now most proud of being able to stay at home and homeschool her babies while inspiring healthy living. So Kristyn, take it away.
Great. Well, thank you. I am so excited and honored to be here. So hello, everybody. Hopefully we can meet in person sometime as well. Like I said, I'm really honored to be here. Carmen actually hit NMD while I was building to NMD. And so she was one of those people whose National Marketing Director stories I heard up on the stage, and I just thought, oh, I want to be like her. And I just loved so much about her personality and how she approached life. And so I've been a big fan of Carmen for a long time. So I'm really honored to be here. So I am going to give you guys a quick product and business story of what mine personally was. And then I'm going to do something that I did at one of our team award dinners that everybody loved. I'm going to kind of share with you the relationships that I have with each of my sales coordinators, because it's interesting. And I just think you'll find it really helpful. And then lastly, I want to share 3 kind of myths that I think that people believe when they're building this business that get in their way. So when I learned about Juice Plus, I was a mom of 1. My daughter was 1.5 at the time. And we were really struggling with eating, mainly because I had learned how powerful food was, and it came to consume my life. We were eating gluten, sugar, dairy free. We had been for about 2.5 years, and it was stressing me out, especially after, kind of being a new mom. And my daughter was getting ready to start eating at daycare. And so I actually learned about Juice Plus from my sister, who did not join the business. And her friend, Kelly, is now my upline. So I think that's one interesting thing to start with, is that my upline is now my good friend, is somebody who didn't even really know me when I joined the business. And now I am, a hugely strong leg for her and her business. And so we got going on Juice Plus right away. It completely made sense to us based on our history, which I'll go into in a little bit. But it was just really, really exciting for us. So I will tell you, though, I kind of had buyer's remorse because I bought it. And then I'm also kind of one of those research people. So I went through the whole looking at articles online and yada, yada, yada. And I spent about 2 weeks asking Kelly questions and going emails back and forth. And the honest to goodness truth is I'm really glad that I did that, because now I can answer questions when people ask those questions. So my product story is quite amazing. Basically, our journey to Juice Plus was because my husband and I struggled with infertility for 4 years. We basically cut out gluten, sugar, dairy, and within 6 weeks, we were pregnant with our daughter. That was kind of the lead up to us learning about Juice Plus. And then, of course, that's a lot of the reason that we were open to Juice Plus as well. But basically, before taking Juice Plus, and in my 20s, we had 3 pregnancies. 2 of them were miscarriages, and 1 of them was our daughter. We even had a miscarriage just a few months prior to starting Juice Plus. So basically it was miscarriage, birth, and then another miscarriage. After Juice Plus and in my 30s, I've also had 3 pregnancies, and that is my 6-year-old boy, my 2-year-old boy, and my now 9-month-old little girl. So no miscarriages, and really it should be the opposite. So that's the main part of my Juice Plus story, and something that I'm just so extremely grateful for. Obviously improved skin, so many different things that you guys know and are thankful for. But the other thing is my daughter was very sickly as well. She was on a nebulizer and an inhaler, and was told that she would not grow out of it, which was a common thing that's told to children, is that they will grow out of it. She was told she would not grow out of it. And after a year of being on Juice Plus, we were able to wean her off of her nebulizer and inhaler, and she's never gone back. My 6-year-old, my 2-year-old, and my 9-month-old have never had a sick visit. So it's just been amazing. I'm super grateful for our Juice Plus. Business-wise, though, I always wanted to be at home, especially after struggling with infertility. But the reality is I had worked my way up the corporate ladder, and I was the manager of financial reporting for a large publicly traded company. And my husband and I just couldn't imagine giving up the income. But my heart was at home. And it was the hardest thing that I did to go to work. I remember people telling me, it'll get better. But the reality is it didn't get better. And what I really knew in my heart of hearts was, if it does, it's because I'm numbing out. And I wasn't okay with that. And so when I learned about Juice Plus again, I jumped on it right away. I actually signed up for the business right away, but I was way too cool for it. I really never imagined that I would be in network marketing. It just wasn't even in my realm of thinking. And so I basically signed up for the business because I was passionate about food, but not because I really, really thought that I would go anywhere with the business. Isn't that funny? So I spent about 2 years, I would say, doing the business in my head in certain ways. I would think I was going to do an event, or I would actually decide, okay, I'm going to build for this event, and then I would do things that my upline told me not to do, like send out emails or handwritten notes and like do different things like that. So I basically spent 2 years spinning my wheels and spending way more energy on my business than I really needed to. I ended up quitting my job to stay home, and actually I was also a health coach at the time. I'd gone to health coaching school before I learned about Juice Plus, and I basically decided to do that because at the time I was still too cool for this business. But luckily I went to my very first conference, and I'm so thankful that I went to my very first conference. This was 2 years into my business. My paycheck was $80, and I had just quit my job and cut our income in more than half. And it was the best decision, best investment we have ever made. So I went to conference, and what I saw there was people like Carmen, who I wanted to be like, people who were living their dream of being home with their kids, which in my opinion is such a noble thing to do and dream to have. And so I saw so many of those people doing that. And what I also saw was honesty and integrity. In my mind, people who were in network marketing were sleazy salespeople. And so when I went there and saw something totally different, it totally rocked my world. And I came back excited and on fire. And within 3.5 years, we hit national marketing director. And 4.5 years later, like Carmen said, we hit 39 Club. So I think oftentimes when people see people be successful, they make some assumptions. And I think one big assumption is that, oh, you knew all these people or you had all these relationships. And oftentimes, I do see people hit NMD that maybe they did have a lot of built relationships. And that may have, been something that helped them be successful. But my story is very different. I am a transplant from Kansas. I now live in Nebraska. So when I quit my job, the only friends that I had were friends from my job, because when I had moved here, I had no friends outside of my job. And so basically the people in my job, at my corporate job, all thought I was completely crazy. And I still to this day don't have a customer from my old work. So it's amazing. And of course, a lot of my friends from high school and from college, I had lost touch with. So I'm excited to share with you about where I met my sales coordinators. And I hope what you get from this more than anything is that it doesn't matter which relationships you have, it's which relationships are you willing to get into. And so my very first sales coordinator is somebody who I had met maybe a few months prior or maybe a year prior, I don't remember, but we were not close friends. She was somebody who I looked at and thought, oh man, if I had extra time on my hands, which at the time I did not, I would love to be friends with her. And so I ended up calling her up and taking her out to Chipotle. And when she tells you the story, she'll tell you I had a Juice Plus hat on and a Juice Plus shirt on, and I was like totally over the top. And I basically just invited her into the business. And she, of course, didn't say yes right away. Eventually she did. And she became a sales coordinator. Eventually, though, she kind of fell off the wagon. So if you have any of those that fall off the wagon, just know it's par for the course. And I am thankful that I had been consistently going to conference and consistently listening to different audio recordings on the Camel Team website, because that is what helped me know that that is normal. And that sales coordinator is now a 24 Club NMD. And I very well could have quit. I remember wanting to quit when she decided she was not going to do this anymore. So that's my first one. My second one is actually an old friend, but not somebody who I was ever really close to. And what happened with her is that she saw on Facebook that I was sharing Juice Plus, and her doctor had shared it with her. She doesn't live anywhere near me. And she, of course, ended up becoming passionate about it after she had a health experience and making it to sales coordinator. The third person is somebody that I did know. It's my mother, but my mother is the ultimate skeptic. She is one reason why I spent 2 years spinning my wheels, because she basically told me, you're in one of those pyramid schemes. I have nothing. I cannot believe you're wasting your college career, or your education and your career, and yada yada yada. So basically what it took was her having a health experience, which took many years, and eventually she did join our team and made it to sales coordinator. My fourth was somebody who, you guys, I am not kidding you, I can't make this stuff up. I saw her in the newspaper, and I thought, this is right after I left my job, right after I got back from conference, and I saw her in the newspaper, and I thought, I want her to be my friend. And so I reached out to her on Facebook. That's what's so beautiful about Facebook, is we can do that. And I reached out to her on Facebook, and just kind of shared with her. I just left my job. She had just moved here from somewhere else. She had started a stroller business where she was, exercising with babies. And so I connected with her that way. And it took time. It wasn't like, I connected with her and she joined my team and everything. She came over to my house one time for a play date. It was a total disaster because our babies were like all over the place and we didn't know each other very well. But over time, and having seen what I was posting on Facebook, it's led to an amazing friendship. She's a sales coordinator. She's in the business. She's got a few other sales coordinators on her team. And it's just been absolutely beautiful. The fourth person, or the fifth, I guess, is my chiropractor. So this is one of those things where we all have healthcare providers of some sort. And I guarantee you, we all say, they'll never do this business. And that was Dr. Andrea. I never in my right mind thought that she would do this business. And what did I do? I just continued to be myself. One of the things that I would always share with people, or always think to myself as I was building, is, how would I act if I wasn't connected to my paycheck? How would I act? And that is kind of what led me to figure out what the next right step is. So if you're not familiar with kind of the next step thinking, that's another thing that I would always think, okay, this person, that person, this person, that person, next step thinking. And what that would allow me to do would be to take that step and then move on. And so eventually, she ended up basically coming to conference because, as she would say, I respected you. I respected how you were building your business. And the timing was right. That's it. Timing was right. And so she came, and it was, even after that, I had no idea, you guys. I thought, this is weird. I don't know what's going on. I had no clue what she was thinking the whole time through conference, and I wouldn't find out for another 6 months. So it was basically 6 months later when she joined the business. I've had two more that I'm not going to go into too much detail, but one of them is a complete know-it-all when it comes to health. and I was completely intimidated by her. Again, I told myself she will never join this business. And I loved her, like genuinely loved her as a person. And I decided she is somebody I want to spend time with, whether or not she joins this business. And eventually she joined the business, even though I had completely emotionally disconnected from that, even being a possibility. And of course, she's one of my really close friends today too. The last one is probably the most funny, and somebody who is on my team and loves her Juice Plus, and it is an ex-girlfriend of my husband, believe it or not. So don't rule anybody out is my point. She basically connected with me on Facebook, and she's somebody who my husband didn't date for very long or anything, but he'd always said she's a nice person. And so we were friends on Facebook. We'd kind of been connected through a few different ways. And eventually she reached out to me and said, I would love to talk to you about what you're doing. And I said, yes. And we went out and learned that we just had so much in common. And it is so much fun. Me and my husband and her husband are really, really good friends. And she actually now has a growing team in Australia. So just don't ever rule anybody out. And remember that that it doesn't really matter if you have the relationships right now. That doesn't really matter. It matters going forward. And the relationships that you have right now, don't rule them out. These were all people that I had said or thought in my head, these people will never join the business. And yet here they are doing the business. And I think sometimes we can tend to, when we make that, if we make that determination, oh, they're never going to join the business, then we tend to act that way, and that pushes them away even further. And I think that my viewpoint of being able to say, how would I treat this person if I just didn't even care about my Juice Plus paycheck? I think that that is what really allowed me to move forward in my relationships and continue to get closer and closer to people despite what they thought about Juice Plus or the business. And ultimately, that's what, in a certain way won them over. So the first myth, I think, is that I don't know enough people, or those that I do know won't ever do this. So I kind of talked about that a little bit already. The second myth is my business isn't growing, or it's not growing fast enough. So I love to talk about this one because obviously numbers talk, and we know that we can look at our report or our paycheck and see if it's growing. At the same time, we are in a relationship business. So sometimes the growth in our business is reaching out to people, or it is, making a new friend, and it is not, you are not able to see that on a report. And I remember I had a call with Wendy Campbell one time over about somebody on my team, and Wendy looked at her report and wasn't impressed at all. And I knew how many connection calls she was doing, and I knew, how many people she was meeting and how many people she was talking to. And so after that call got over, I remember telling her, your business is so much further along than that call may have said to you. And 6 months later, lo and behold, things were growing. So if you haven't heard, judge your paycheck now by what your activity looked like 6 months ago. I think that's really important. And then the other big thing here too is I never felt like my business was growing until 3 months before hitting National Marketing Director. I know that feeling of like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing all the right things, and yet I don't feel like my business is growing. Been there, done that for years. And it just hit a point where suddenly it did start growing. Like I said, this was 3 months before we hit National Marketing Director, and we hit 24 Club the same month. And I truly believe this is because consistent activity, lots of consistent activity over an extended period of time. And then it all just, you've heard the analogy of popcorn, it's like the popcorn started popping. And it was absolutely amazing. But I hear very frequently from my team, my business isn't growing. And I'm like, I know, I get you, but keep going, keep going. So that's myth number 2. And then myth number 3 is this just isn't for me. I hear that a lot too. This just isn't for me. And I will tell you a few things about me that I am not. Just so you know, I'm not organized at all. I am, this is so embarrassing, but I'm saying it anyways. I am not hospitable. I'm not. It's so embarrassing. I'm in a people business. We have events, but it is totally not my strength. I get like shaky when people are in my house. I really like my personal space. So certainly I do it, but it's not me. Like we take shoes off at our house. I start like, I don't know. It's just not my thing. So I'm not organized. I'm not hospitable. And I don't love to get out of my house. I sound like a hermit, but I'm really not. So you might be able to tell that I'm extroverted, which I am. But the reality is I'm also in a stage of life. I have an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 9-month-old where my energy is expended with these children. And so I don't love to get out at all. And so I guess my point is some of it just was doing the hard work, or sometimes doing the things that I didn't necessarily want to do. But I will tell you, you might have heard from other teams and other people who've been extremely successful. I did 5 events a week, and I did all this stuff. And I will tell you, I was never the person that did 5 events a week. Now, definitely not outside of my home. It depends on how you define an event, but definitely not, an event outside of the house on Monday, an event on Tuesday, event on Wednesday. The max amount of time that I spent outside of my home was 2 nights a week. And then I did a lot of other stuff on Facebook. I don't count Facebook events or events that I'm able to do it like this in that. But I think that that's important, because a lot of times I think it's important to remember that there's so many different ways that you can do this business. And I think Carmen's probably been great at teaching you guys that it doesn't have to look any certain way. And that's absolutely true for my business. And I like to share that because, we did get to a point where we grew fast, and people, I think, have made the assumption that we were doing 5 events a week. No, we just did consistent activity over a period of time. I was consistent in doing 2 events a week for a while, So I'm not those things, but what am I? And what I love about this is the things that I am that really contributed to my business success are things that you can decide to be at any point. It's not like it's some special trait or anything. I am hardworking. I was willing to do what it took to meet people. I was willing to do what it took to help those people understand the value of Juice Plus. And one of the things that I think is really important is I didn't categorize that as working time, because I saw that as my mission. We are on such an important mission here in sharing the message of Juice Plus that I think it is important if you align with that, if you align with the thinking that Juice Plus is important and that people are really sick. I think it can help so many people's businesses to realize that you would share it whether or not you made a paycheck. And so maybe just the sharing part, at least don't count it as your work time, right? And just do it out of the bottom of your heart. So I'm hardworking, I'm driven. And I think that there's a difference between the two. I think driven is more, you have grit. So hardworking is being able to do the work. Being driven and having grit is being able to continue to do the work even when it doesn't feel like it's paying off. And that is definitely something I think that is really important in this business and the way that the business is set up. And then lastly, I think being willing to put other people before yourself. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have self-care. That's absolutely not what I mean. But I do mean that it's important to be, in the comfort of my own home thinking, I'm able to do this and to be here and to have these amazing family experiences because I know about Juice Plus, quite honestly, and our family is healthy. I have somebody on my team, you guys, she just came over for the Pajama Regional. Her kids were sick literally they went to the doctor, I'm trying to think about this, every other week for an entire year before learning about Juice Plus. Every other week for an entire year. I remember seeing her post on Facebook, and she was miserable. And that is what encourages me and inspires me to get out of my comfort zone and to get out of my home, because so many people need to hear this message of hope that we have to offer the world. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. I'm hoping what you get really is that anybody can do this. I truly, from in my heart of hearts, believe it. I seriously have to say, oh my gosh, am I really a national marketing director? Because just 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I was the person thinking, oh, I don't know. I don't know if that's ever going to be me. I want it to be me. And so it really is here for the taking. It's all about your hard work, the grit, and being willing to care about other people. So I don't know, Carmen, if you do take questions or what.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Oh my gosh, that was so good. There was so much there. Thank you so much. We do have the Campbell team call coming up after this. So I would just love to say that thank you so much for sharing that. I love what you shared about really the success ingredients. You know, I remember when I started, which was 14 years ago, we had a manual that came in the mail, and it was like this thick, and you know, people would read it. I didn't read it, but some people read it. And in there on one of the first pages were the success ingredients, and those success ingredients for having a successful Juice Plus business are that you are teachable, you're willing to work, you have a desire to succeed, and you have a heart for helping other people. And so that's basically what you shared with us tonight. And I also love how you shared that, you know, you're not going to necessarily see results right away. You're not going to you don't plant a seed and have a flower the next day. It takes time, right? And sometimes you plant seeds and they don't grow at all, or they take years to grow. And I've certainly experienced that in my business. So just that reinforcement of, you know, doing that consistent activity, talking to a lot of people, following up, you know, doing that simple system that we have, which is sharing your story, connecting people to a resource, and following up, you know, wash, rinse, repeat, doing that over and over again. And that's how you grow a business. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And does anybody, I mean, we do have like 2 more minutes. So if anybody else has a burning question, you guys can ask in the chat.
Thank you, Carmen. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you guys I'm going to give you guys the Campbell team call number. So for those of you, I know we have some new people on. So on the first Monday of every month, we have not only our team call, but then we also afterwards have the Campbell team call. And this one's a telephone call. So you don't actually do it on Zoom. You are just going to call in. And that phone number, if you want to write it down, is area code 712-432-0075. And the access code is 151-400#. And that is all aboard the Hot Mess Express with Julie Allen, another new national marketing director. So I hope you guys all get off of this call and hop on the next. Thank you so much, Kristyn. We so appreciate you gifting us with this tonight. And I can't wait to follow up with you when we're done.
Awesome. Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.